Hey guys, Mike here. This is the universal theory of defense for Monster Hunter. Let's get right into it. So defense in Monster Hunter exists on a spectrum. On one end you have dodging, and on the other end you have blocking. And each weapon falls somewhere along the spectrum, but it's not as black and white as you think. So let's just go through all the weapons and establish where they land on the spectrum. So first, we'll start with the Alpha and the Omega Sword and Shield. Now, believe it or not, I'm not actually a Sword and Shield main, as some of you might like to believe. I actually play all the weapons. I don't really main a weapon. But Sword and Shield are in the middle. Some people might think Sword and Shield actually belongs more here. That is not true at all. Or they believe that they have a very basic understanding of Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield is right in the middle. It is the only weapon that is right in the middle. The thing about Sword and Shield is you can build it for evasion or you can build it for blocking. Most people will typically go for evasion because if you build it for blocking, that requires a lot of monster knowledge. But if you do take the time to study the Sword and Shield and realize where the guarding knockback breakpoints are, you can create extremely effective builds with certain levels of guard against certain monster matchups. For example, Ruiner Nergigante. If you take a lot of guard into Tempered Ruin Nergigante fight, you can pretty much block almost everything that Ruiner Nergigante throws at you. Or you could just play a dodging type Sword and Shield, but that's your choice. So Sword and Shield right in the middle. Let's take one for the blocking, Lance. Everyone knows it. This is not that complicated. Best guard in the game, and Lance. You could put it, I would put it right here next to Lance. It does have the same strength as the shield, but the thing about Gun Lance is I would argue you're not blocking as much as Lance. Your attacks have more active frames and recovery frames compared to Lance. So Lance is generally, you're hiding behind the shield more often compared to Gun Lance. It's a very minor difference. All right, let's go on the opposite end. Got Dual Blades. Dual Blades is all about dodging, whether you're in demon mode or non-demon mode. This one's pretty obvious. Hammer as well, it's more dodging based. Hammer doesn't have a guard. Hunting Horn as well, over to Hammer, more dodging based. Let's go with Greatsword. Greatsword does have a block, it has tackle, but you're primarily dodging with Greatsword. Blocking is the last resort, you get -5 sharpness if you try to block with Greatsword, just for emergency situations. But you are primarily dodging with Greatsword, sheathing and dodging and sprinting. But as you can see, it has less of a focus on blocking compared to Sword and Shield, so we'll put it right here. Switch Axe has 0 blocking whatsoever. Sort of plays like a Greatsword, pretty slow, but it's more on the dodging spectrum. Charge Blade, in Sword and Shield mode, it does operate like a Sword and Shield. You can say you can put it right here, but when you're in Axe mode, you're definitely primarily dodging, although you shouldn't really stay in Axe mode that long. You can put it anywhere kind of along here, in my opinion. It really goes back and forth between two of them. I'll put it right under Sword and Shield for now. I can see arguments for both though. With its guard points, you could argue, oh, well, it has guard points, so it's more blocking based, but whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Longsword, it is primarily dodging. I would put it here. It's not blocking in the typical sense with the counters. It's more of counter-attacking, but you're still trying to get hit by the monster's attack. So I would put it right here. Not like purely dodging everything like a Dual Blades, right? Interglaive, same as well. Put it more here, more dodging things. Light bow gun, bow here. Light bow gun and bow, probably put here under dodging somewhere. You can argue if bow goes here or light bow gun goes here. Heavy bow gun, it's more blocking. And this is where each weapon lies on the spectrum of dodging and blocking. So typically for dodging, you will invest in skills like Evade Extender, Evade Window. Well, one thing I would add too is dodging, you probably are more prone to invest in earplugs compared to blocking weapons, because blocking weapons, you can just block the roars. So blocking weapons are more prone to invest in guard or different levels of guard based on your monster matchup. You also have the guard up skill to make sure you can even guard against certain monster attacks that are usually not guardable. Now, what is the point of all this? The point of all this is that they are different defensive techniques that lead to the same goal. And that goal is after the monster attacks, you want to be standing right by the weak point. But they achieve that goal in different ways. So let's start with dodging. So dodging, this is the monster weak point. You want to be standing here after the monster attacks. If the monster cleaves here, for example, and you want to be standing here, you will be reactively dodging from here to here so that you can attack the weak point here. Now for guarding and blocking, it's just the same thing, but it's in reverse. It's in reverse in terms of the timeline. So if you're guarding and you want to stand here to hit the weak point, you have to be here before the monster attacks. So let's say the cleave is right here. You don't want to get hit by this, right? So your goal is to stand here first, block the attack, and then counterattack the monster weak. It's just dodging in reverse. Again, dodging, you let the monster attack, you dodge into the ideal spot, and then you counterattack. Blocking, you get to the ideal spot first, you block the attack, and then you attack the monster weak point. So blocking is not as brain dead as just pressing guard. You have to get into position, then guard. Whereas in dodging, you are baiting the attack and then dodging into the safe position after the monster attacks, so you can counterattack. It's just two sides of the same coin. They're really just two sides of the same coin. And some people have a certain affinity for one type of defense And there's no wrong answer. They're both means to the same end goal, standing in the right spot so you can do your counterattack. This is part 1. I'm going to come out with part 2 later. Subscribe if you're interested in that. Thanks for watching.